Hello everyone and thank you for being here today. My name is Rachel Whitaker and I'll be your host for our talk on anorexia nervosa. Anorexia nervosa is a potentially life-threatening eating disorder involving the pursuit of thinness through starvation. The American Psychiatric Association lists the main characteristics of anorexia nervosa as 1. Weight less than 85% of what is considered normal for age and height, and refusal to maintain weight at a healthy level. 2. An intense fear of gaining weight that does not decrease with weight loss. And lastly, a distorted body image. Even when individuals with anorexia nervosa are extremely thin, they never think they are thin enough. They weigh themselves frequently, take their body measurements often, and gaze critically at themselves in mirrors. Anorexia nervosa can lead to many physical changes besides extreme thinness. You can have growth of fine hair all over the body, thinning of bones and hair, severe constipation, and low blood pressure. Anorexia nervosa is potentially life-threatening as it can damage the heart and thyroid. Anorexia nervosa is said to have the highest mortality rate of any psychological disorder. This disorder typically begins within the teenage years, and the most affected group of individuals are non-Latino white female adolescents or young adults from well-educated middle and upper-income families. Obsessive thinking about weight and compulsive exercise can also be related to anorexia nervosa. For many years, researchers thought the etiology of anorexia nervosa was due to sociocultural factors, such as media glorification of thin women. However, countless women are exposed to these media images, and relatively few develop eating disorders. Additionally, eating disorders are prevalent in cultures that do not emphasize the ideal of thinness. Recent research shows that genes influence many psychological characteristics and behaviors associated with anorexia nervosa. These genes are also factors in the regulation of serotonin, and problems in regulating serotonin are related to anorexia nervosa. Most psychologists believe that while social factors and experiences may play a role in triggering dieting, the physical effects of dieting may change the neural networks that then sustain the disordered pattern in a vicious cycle. There are many misconceptions about anorexia nervosa, and I'm going to list 4 of them that I see are most common. Number 1 is when people say that anorexia is just a phase. Actually, anorexia is never ever going to be a normal behavior. It's an eating disorder that needs serious attention because of the repercussions that come with it. Number 2, that anorexia is about vanity. If a person with anorexia says, "I feel fat," that is just to get compliments. People with anorexia experience a real distortion in their body image. They don't see themselves how other people do. And this is one of the symptoms of the illness. Often people with anorexia will view it very, very different, almost as if they were looking at themselves in a fun mirror that we would see at a fair or carnival. And then that anorexia is a rich, young white girl's problem. Actually, research has shown that this is not true. A person with anorexia may be from any racial, ethnic, or economic background. Anorexia and psychological disorders, they don't discriminate. It can affect old, young, female, male, but it is going to be more prevalent among younger white women. And then the last misconception I have is going to be that a person cannot have anorexia if they eat 3 meals a day. No, anorexia doesn't mean that you're completely not eating anything per se. Fasting is not only the means of the food restriction, it could just mean that the person's limiting themselves to the type of foods they're eating or the amount that they're eating. For example, a person may eat a normal amount of food for several days and then follow it with severe calorie restriction. So you can't limit it to just saying that, if they eat 3 meals a day, they must not be anorexic. There have been a lot of celebrities in the past that we've seen with anorexia. I think the first one that opened up the public eye would be Karen Carpenter. She was an American singer and drummer who suffered from anorexia nervosa. At the age of 32, she ended up dying from heart failure, which were complications of being anorexic. And like I said before, her early death led to increased awareness about eating disorders. And then more recently, a lot of people from my age group would understand would be Mary-Kate Olsen. And then she announced in 2004 that she was entering a facility for treatment for anorexia nervosa. There are treatments for anorexia, and although anorexia nervosa it is going to be a serious disorder, recovery is possible, although it may require hospitalization or a treatment center like we saw with Mary Kate Olsen. The first target of intervention is promoting weight gain, and in the most severe cases, it may require that person getting a feeding tube. Excuse me. A common obstacle in the treatment of individuals with anorexia nervosa is that they don't see anything wrong. We had talked earlier about how they have a distorted body image of themselves. So when people say that they're too thin or that they need to gain weight, they don't honestly see that, so that's hard for them. They maintain the belief that thinness and restrictive dieting are correct and it's not a sign of mental illness. But although you can still have drug therapies and psychotherapy have been shown effective in treating anorexia nervosa. Thank you.